Hey everyone, today's video I'm going to be going over how to enter new tasks and events. Specifically today I'm doing it on sales tasks and events. You can see here I'm under a lead named Chris Yunchai, like me, small world. On the right hand side of the page you can see there is the activity section. This is going to look the same basically any section you're in, whether you're on a lead page, a contact page, an opportunity page. It allows you to create tasks and events from the right hand side of the page. So you can see here if I click on sales tasks or sales events, so this lead I'm looking at is a prospective resident, so it would be sales. If you are business development and you're working on a contact who works for a business, you could use business development task or event. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a task that I am conducting with this lead. So what I would do is I would click create new. And what that does is it populates my list of sales task types. If I scroll down here a little bit, you can see that the type is the first field that's required. So this is going to be whether it's a call inbound, so if Chris called me, a call outbound if I called out to Chris, an SMS text. So if I send a text out to Chris, I can select that. If it's an email I want to set up, so if I emailed him out, I would select this, or if it's a mailer. So let's say it's a call outbound and that I'm calling Chris. I'm going to select call outbound. I'm going to select my community. So let's say I'm at Brighton Valley. The subject, the subject is really important because you'll see once I save it, if you have no subject, it just looks kind of weird because it says no subject for the task. So just put something short in here so you can put in call Chris, and then you can get more specific at the bottom. The name is already associated to the lead. If this was an opportunity, you'd want to associate it to the actual contact or contacts. But because I'm on the lead page, it's already associating to Chris. The date scheduled, this is the date that I'm actually scheduling the task. So if I'm scheduling it today for another day, I would use today's date as the scheduled. But then if I wanted to call him on a different day, I would do the due date as the date that I want it to actually happen. So today I'm scheduling this task, obviously, right? So the date scheduled is always going to pretty much be the day you're doing it. And then the due date is the day you want it to show up on your calendar. So let's say that for this one, I want to call him tomorrow. I can select tomorrow from the date. So the due date is going to be tomorrow. And then the scheduled date shows that I scheduled this task for tomorrow. The assigned to is assigned to myself by default. That's fine. If you want to assign it to somebody else, so if you're an ACS, for instance, making appointments for community specialists, you can click here to exit it out and look for who you want to assign it to. So if I want to assign it to Kim, I can select her. I'm going to select myself though here. The status I'm going to leave is open. Otherwise, if you're done with the task, you would change it to complete, but I'm not done with it, obviously, as I'm scheduling it for tomorrow. The call result, if it's a call, you'll want to say after the call happens, if you left a voicemail, if you had voice to voice, if you scheduled an appointment, or no answer. Obviously, I haven't made the call yet, so I'm not going to do that. ACS shadowing, this is here if, for tours and things of that nature, meetings, stuff like that. If an ACS helps you out on it, you can put that here. Otherwise, once you make the call, you can get more specific than you did on the subject and put in information related to the actual call. You can see here in the related section, if it's related to an opportunity or an account, you can select that here. This is only a lead, so I don't have to assign it to an opportunity or anything because it doesn't exist yet. So it's assigned to the lead already. The priority is set to normal. If you want, you can set it to high priority, and I'll show you what happens when you select something to high priority. And that's basically it. Right here, there's going to be a save button. And then underneath there, you can see upcoming and overdue tasks, which I don't have any right now, but this will show up on here as an upcoming task once I save it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and see what happens. So again, I'm on the lead page. You can see here it's updating the side profile here. And now you can see for this lead, I have an upcoming task. You can see it's green right now, and it's got a little red flag because I flagged it high priority. So that's what happens when something's high priority. It puts that little flag there. You can see I said about the subject, you want to make sure you put something in because otherwise it'll just say no subject and it just looks kind of weird here. You can see the date on here. From the little drop down, you can edit it, you can delete the task, you can edit comments, change the date, change the status, change the priority, all that stuff straight from there. There's a little checkbox here too. So if you have a number of tasks that are overdue or upcoming, you can select them all and do all at once, change the date or do whatever you need to on it. So it's kind of cool that way too. One thing I want to show you too, in addition to this, is if I go back to my home screen, what it looks like on the tasks and events section. Your home screen is going to look a little different depending on your role, but you're going to see on the right hand side there's going to be a tasks and events section. So if you click on there, it's going to show you your tasks and events. If you don't see anything, it's probably because of the view. So you're going to want to click on the little right hand side. You can see it shows I have no tasks, but that's because it's set to today. What I can do though is I can change it to all overdue, all your tasks, all your delegated tasks, or completed within the last 7 days. I'm going to select it, my tasks. And that way it'll put it in date order of all of my open and overdue tasks. You can see right now I have my one task on here. It's cool because of the high priority. It puts the little flag on there. You can see Christopher Yunchai is the person, the community specialist, myself in this situation. But from here, I can select that little checkbox. You can see that there's a problem with updating this task because you got to choose a call result. So you can't update it all at once. So what you do is you click on My Task to open that up. Or you can right click on it and open it in a new tab. I just clicked right in. So when I click right in, you can see from here, there are notes and files you can use on the left-hand side if you like to. Otherwise, you can just kind of do whatever you need to with the actual call. So to do that, if I try to mark complete, it's going to give me an error again because I need to put in the call result because it was a call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit edit. And then from here, it's going to let me edit this task. So I don't need to change anything on the type or anything like that. The only thing I would change is the call result. And I would say, hey, we had voice to voice once this actually happened. Another thing I would do is change the due date. So this would be the date that it actually happened. So if I got around to calling Chris today, instead of leaving the due date as tomorrow, I would update it to today because it actually happened today. On here, I can say, in the comments, spoke with Chris, wants a virtual tour next Monday. Okay, so I can add that on here. You can see everything at the bottom here is all good. The one thing I want to do too that you want to make sure you're doing is under the status. Right now it's set to open still. You want to set this to complete. Otherwise, it's going to show as an open task as if we never did it. Okay, so we've got everything filled out here. Instead of hitting save, I urge you to get in the habit of doing save and new. This way you can always select your next activity. Okay. So if you're doing that, you can do save as new sales task, BD task, key employee, whatever, right? This one, in this situation, I'm not even going to do a sales task. I'm going to do a sales event. So I want to put in the tour. I'm going to cancel out of this actually because I don't want to do a task. So you can see here, this has been completed. What's cool about this is you can click back into the contact or the lead name here to get back to that page rather easily. So I'll click on here and I'll be able to see from here that these are all of the completed activities. So you can see it goes by month. So in March, it shows today for this month. I had a task with Chris. I called him. It's finished. It was checked green because it was finished. All the upcoming and overdue, we don't have anything upcoming or overdue, but this is when I'm going to create that next task or event. So what I'm going to do from this lead page, I'm going to go to sales activities or events in this situation. And I'm going to actually go ahead and schedule my next activity with him. So the type, you're going to see the sales is going to look a little different, the events, than the tasks. In the beginning, it looks, perfectly normal. The types, though, are going to be a little different. So you can see here now, instead of calls and those things, you've got tours, first tour, follow-up tour, a meeting, home visit, hospital rehab visit, or events attendee. I'm going to say first tour, the community. Again, I'm going to fill out Braden Valley. The type of tour you're going to say here, if it was a scheduled tour, if you scheduled it beforehand, if it was just a walk-in tour, they came in, you showed them around, or if it was a virtual tour. I said we're going to do a virtual tour. So the date scheduled again, I scheduled it today, but for a future date. This is fine though. The date scheduled is when you actually scheduled it. So the subject is going to be Chris wants virtual tour. So again, you want to put something in for the subject, just a short subject in there. The ACS, if you have an ACS helping out, this is where you would select that ACS or search for their name. The assigned to is here. The description, I would leave blank until the tour actually happens. At that point, you can go in and put in how the tour went in the description. Location is where the tour is going to happen, obviously on the community. So this one's actually going to be probably on the iPad. So you can put iPad/virtual here. If it's an all-day event, you would select that box. Otherwise, you would just put in a start and end time so you can select when you want the tour to happen. So this is a little different, like I said, than what the task was. So I'm going to select a start date. This is going to be when we want the tour to happen. We said Monday, so I'm going to select Monday. Then you can select the time as well. So if it's going to happen at 9 a.m., I'm going to find 9 a.m. on the list. By default, it's going to schedule for an hour, which is fine. You can update the end time when it actually happens. It's already associated to Chris. There is no account to relate it to. At that point, you're just going to hit save. It will save the event. It will show up in the upcoming and overdue section for you. And then when you go back to your home page, it'll show up in the events section for you. As you can see, guys, I came back to my homepage once I saved it. So by default, like I said, it's going to show me all of today's stuff. I can change this to all overdue, all my tasks completed, all that good stuff. The calendar is going to show me all of today's events. I don't have anything scheduled for today, obviously, as I scheduled that for Monday, but I can click on view calendar. What that's going to do, it's going to send me to the calendar. It's going to give me a list view of the whole week. I don't have anything right now for this week, but again, the 23rd, I did schedule that, so I can select next week. And what I can see is that at 9 a.m., I've got a virtual tour. So Chris shows is a virtual tour. If I hover over that, it gives me all the specifics about it. I can edit that to go in and do whatever I need to with it. I can click in there and it'll send me to that event, which is cool. So from here, once the tour happens, I can edit it and right at the top here, I can click edit. And from here, I can put in the description of how everything went. I can, put in if the time changed, if anything like that happened, or if this tour actually canceled. What I can do is I can select cancel tour. You really want to get in the habit of going in and canceling tours if they're canceled. Otherwise, if you don't do anything with the tour, the system's going to assume that it did happen. You want to make sure that you're canceling the tours and then rescheduling them on a new separate event so that we can report on how many tours actually happen. Okay, so once you go in there and you save that, all of your changes are made to it, and then from there you can go back to whatever household you're working on, and you can keep creating events, tasks. You can work the opportunity. You can make sure that everything on there is up to date as far as the stage and everything goes. So if I go into an actual opportunity, I showed you a second ago on the lead page what the sales tasks and stuff look like. On an opportunity, it's the same type deal. Like I said, whether it's the lead, the account, wherever. If you're adding sales tasks and events, it's going to be on the right hand side of the page, no matter where you're at. So you can see here on the account page, if you want to go to contacts and opportunities, you can see all of the active contacts and all of the opportunities if they have any in the system. This one has no opportunities, so there's nothing to drill into. But if you want to create the next sales task or event, you would just select that from here. You can see here it's got all my upcoming and overdue at the bottom as well. So it's a cool way for everything to be on the same page and you see everything all from one page. So tasks and events, like I said, you can navigate to your home page to see all of your tasks and events from the day on the right hand side. It's going to show you by default everything you have. You're going to want to use this little list to say if you want today's stuff, if you want all of your stuff, just the overdue stuff completed within the last 7 days, everything that you've delegated or has been delegated to you. And then if you want to view your calendar for longer than just the day, you would select view calendar and it'll show you that calendar view. This is a good way to stay on top of everything. Beyond this, guys, if you want to add new tasks and events, you're going to want to do it from a lead, from an opportunity, or a contact, just like you've always been. If you have any questions on adding events or tasks, as always, please shoot an email to appsupport@sig.com. During this webinar, I didn't go over how to add them for business development, but basically it's the exact same thing, except you would click on the task and event from the contact page. So let's jump into a contact real quick. This is a household contact, but it's going to look exactly the same. So when you're on the contact page, guys, you'll just click on BD task or BD event. The task types are going to be the same, but the theory around it is exactly the same. You click on the task type, BD task type, you select the type, community, all that good stuff. Once you put it in there, it'll show up on your home page as open until you tell it otherwise, basically, until you change the status to closed or completed, at which point you can select the next task or event. Again, events are time specific, so if you're doing BD, meetings, offsite events, things like that, you would use events, and then tasks for to-dos type thing. So again, use the home page to keep an eye on all your tasks and events. If you have any questions, like I said, just shoot an email to app support. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Thank you.